My name is Iris Archer, and I am 33 years old. 9 years ago, my mother told me that if I married Marcus Ellison, I would no longer be part of the Archer family. 2 weeks ago, she showed up at my front door carrying a beige suitcase, a folded piece of paper, and a bill for $925,000. Not an apology, not regret, an invoice. She stood on my porch like she had every right in the world to be there. Like 9 years had been 9 days. Like the birthdays she ignored, the grandchildren she never met, the wedding invitation she mailed back unopened. None of it mattered anymore. My mother looked older, smaller somehow. Her hair had gone almost fully gray around the temples. But her posture was still perfect. Disowned Archer never slouched. Not even when she was destroying someone's life. She held out the paper. We need to talk about the family's future. Not, I missed you. Not, how are the children? Not, I'm sorry. The paper shook slightly in her hand. Blue ink, bullet points, medical debt, mortgage balance, Paige's husband's business losses, attorney fees, total owed, $925,000. I stared at the number for a long time. Then I looked at her. And for the first time in 9 years, my mother looked nervous. Because what she did not know, what none of them knew, was that I had spent 9 years keeping records. Every returned birthday card, every voicemail left unanswered, every cruel message Paige thought would never get back to me, every rejection, every silence, every moment they erased me from their family. 29 items, labeled, dated, filed alphabetically and chronologically inside a navy blue binder sitting in the bottom drawer of my office desk. My mother brought invoices. I brought receipts. And before I tell you what happened on my porch that afternoon, you need to understand something first. Families like mine do not explode all at once. They collapse slowly, quietly, one denial at a time, one excuse at a time, one "we're doing this for your own good" at a time. So let me take you back. Back before the silence. Back before the binder. Back to the summer I was 24 years old. The summer my family decided love had conditions. Millfield, Ohio. Population, 2,000 and change. One Baptist church. One barbershop. One diner where every booth smelled like coffee and bacon grease no matter what time you walked in. That was my hometown. The kind of place where everyone knew your grandparents before they knew you. The kind of place where people waved at stop signs even if they hated each other at church on Sundays. My father, Kenneth Archer, worked at the lumber yard on Route 7 for 31 years. Same steel lunchbox. Same boots. Same schedule. Every evening at exactly 5:42 p.m., his truck rolled into the driveway. Not 5:41. Not 5:43. 5:42. My mother Diane ran the household the same way generals run military operations. Perfectly organized. Perfectly controlled. She led the church women's committee, organized holiday dinners, directed charity events, corrected everyone's grammar, including the pastors. People in Millfield respected Diane Archer. They also feared her a little. Then there was Paige, my younger sister, 4 years younger, blonde hair, loud laugh, the kind of girl who walked into rooms and immediately became the center of them. People loved Paige effortlessly. Teachers loved Paige. Boys loved Paige. My parents loved Paige most of all. Dad called her sunshine. Mom called her my social butterfly. I was the quiet one. The daughter who got straight A's and washed dishes without being asked. The daughter who never caused trouble. The daughter nobody worried about because nobody noticed enough to worry. And I need you to understand something. I do not say this bitterly. I say it factually. In our family, love was treated like a budget. And Paige was always the priority expense. When I turned 18, I got a full scholarship to Ohio State. First Archer in history to attend college. My father shook my hand after the acceptance letter arrived. Like I had been hired for a job instead of achieving something extraordinary. Mom packed my suitcase carefully. Folded sweaters. Labeled medication bottles. Tucked handwritten Bible verses between my clothes. Right before I left, she slipped a card into the front pocket of my bag. Pink flowers on the front. Her handwriting inside. Come home soon. You belong here. I kept that card for 15 years. It still sits in my desk drawer, right next to the binder, because it was the last kind thing my mother ever wrote to me. I met Marcus Ellison during advanced statistics junior year. He sat 2 rows ahead of me. Quiet. Focused. Calm in a way that made everyone else seem chaotic. Most students treated equations like emergencies. Marcus treated them like puzzles. Patiently. Methodically. Like there was always an answer if you stayed calm long enough to find it. Our first conversation lasted 11 minutes. I know because I timed everything back then. He asked if I understood the regression assignment. I told him yes, then spent 8 minutes explaining it anyway. He listened carefully the entire time. Afterward, he smiled and said, "You explain complicated things like they're simple." Nobody had ever complimented me like that before. Not my parents. Not teachers. Nobody. Our first date happened outside a taco truck near campus. Marcus paid with crumpled singles. I paid with quarters. We split one drink because neither of us could afford 2. And somehow, it was the happiest I had ever felt. Not because it was romantic, because for the first time in my life, I felt seen. Really seen. Marcus listened when I talked. He remembered small details. Asked follow-up questions. Looked at me like my thoughts mattered. People underestimate how dangerous that kind of attention can be to someone who has spent their whole life emotionally invisible. By the end of that year, I was completely in love with him. And I honestly believed my family eventually would be too. Marcus proposed on a Tuesday night in February. No fancy restaurant. No violin music. No photographers hiding behind bushes waiting to capture the perfect reaction. Just our apartment kitchen. 1 flickering overhead light. 2 bowls of reheated pasta. And Marcus standing across from me looking more nervous than I had ever seen him. He did not kneel immediately. That was not his style. Instead, he rested both hands on the kitchen counter and said quietly, "Iris, I think we've already been building a life together for 3 years." I laughed softly. We share 1 bathroom and $70 in savings. "Exactly," he said. "And somehow I still feel rich when you're around." That was Marcus. No performance. No speeches he copied from movies. Just honesty. Pure and terrifying honesty. Then he reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. My breath caught. "I don't have the kind of ring you deserve yet," he said carefully. "But I know I want to spend my life with you. I know that with absolute certainty." When he opened the box, the ring was tiny, simple. A small diamond with a silver band. Probably cost less than what Paige spent monthly on shoes back then. But it was the most beautiful thing I had ever seen. Because somebody had chosen me. Fully. Without hesitation. "Yes," I whispered before he even finished asking. Marcus smiled slowly. Relieved. Almost emotional. Then, he said something I would remember years later during the hardest moments of our marriage. "We're going to build our own family, Iris. A good one." I believed him. That night, I called my mother. And for 7 seconds after I told her, she said absolutely nothing. I counted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then finally, "You need to think carefully about what this means for our family." Not congratulations. Not, "Are you happy?" Not, "Tell me about the ring." A warning. My father picked up the extension line after that. I heard him breathing quietly. Then a cough. Then silence. "Dad." Another pause. Finally, "You know your mother's upset." That was all he said. No excitement. No blessing. Nothing. 2 days later, Paige texted me. "Mom's been crying nonstop since your call. Are you happy now?" I stared at the message for a long time, then locked my phone without answering, because for the first time, I was beginning to understand something painful. My family's love had always been conditional, and I was approaching the condition that would cancel mine entirely. The letter arrived 12 days later. Cream-colored stationery. My mother's handwriting. Perfect cursive. Even her anger looked organized. I opened it sitting at our kitchen table while Marcus, made coffee. At first the letter sounded almost reasonable. Concerned. Careful. She talked about cultural differences. About community reactions. About future complications. The kind of language people use when they want to hide ugliness behind politeness. Then I reached the final paragraph. If you go through with this marriage, you are choosing him over your family. I stopped breathing for a second. Marcus noticed immediately. What is it? I kept reading. We cannot support this decision. We will not attend the wedding. And if you walk down that aisle, do not expect to walk back through our front door. Then the final sentence. The sentence that would replay inside my head for years. He is not one of us, Iris. He never will be. Marcus stood quietly across the kitchen watching my face change. I handed him the letter. He read it once, then folded it carefully. Not angry, not shocked, just tired. Like, maybe part of him had expected this all along.
I'm sorry, he whispered.
Marcus looked genuinely confused. For what? For them. He walked over slowly and sat beside me. Then he took my hand. Iris, people who make you choose between love and family usually never intended to give you both. I started crying then. Not loud, dramatic crying. Silent crying. The kind where tears fall before you even realize you're hurt. Marcus held me against his chest while the coffee machine beeped in the background. And somewhere during that moment, something inside me shifted. Not broken. Not yet. But cracked. A fracture line running straight through the center of the family I thought I had. I folded the letter carefully afterward. Placed it inside a manila folder. I do not know why I kept it. Maybe because, deep down, I already knew this story was not over. We got married in June, at a courthouse downtown. 12 guests total. Every single one from Marcus's side. His mother Cora flew in from Cleveland carrying a garment bag and homemade pound cake wrapped in foil. The first thing she did when she saw me was hug me so tightly, I nearly cried again. "Welcome to the family, baby," she whispered. Family. Such a simple word. Such a dangerous one. My parents never called. Never texted. Never responded to the invitation. Paige viewed the RSVP online. Then declined without a note. The ceremony lasted 9 minutes. The judge mispronounced Marcus's last name. The air conditioning barely worked. And halfway through our vows, a janitor accidentally pushed a trash cart through the hallway outside the courtroom doors. It was imperfect. Cheap. Tiny. And absolutely beautiful. Marcus looked at me during the ceremony like he could not believe I was real. Like I was something precious. Something worth protecting. Nobody had ever looked at me that way before. Afterward, we ate dinner at a small Thai restaurant. For tables pushed together. Cheap champagne. Plastic flowers. Marcus's college roommate gave a speech so funny Cora laughed hard enough to spill water on herself. For a few hours, I forgot my family completely. Then later that night, alone in our apartment, still wearing my wedding dress from the consignment shop, I looked at the empty space beside me where my parents should have stood that day. And grief hit me so hard I physically bent forward. Marcus found me crying on the bedroom floor. He sat beside me quietly. "I'm sorry they missed this," he whispered. I shook my head slowly. "No," I said finally. "They chose to miss it." 1 week later, I mailed my parents a wedding photo anyway. Marcus and I smiling outside the courthouse. I wrote, "We are happy. I hope someday you can be happy for us too." 11 days later, the envelope came back. Returned to sender stamped across the front in red ink. I stared at it for nearly an hour. Then I opened my desk drawer, took out the manila folder, placed the envelope inside, and wrote in red pen, Item 2. Wedding photo returned unopened. Year 1 became year 2. Then year 3. Every birthday card returned. Every voicemail ignored. Paige posting family dinner photos without me. Dad sending one text. "Your mother needs time." That was all. Meanwhile, Marcus and I built our life quietly. Tiny apartment. Long work hours. Cheap furniture. Real happiness. And slowly, the pain stopped feeling sharp. It just became part of me. Like background noise. Marcus quit his job in year 2. Not recklessly. He had an idea. software that helped small businesses handle compliance paperwork and SEC filings. He built the first version in our garage. 2 monitors, a broken space heater, a whiteboard from Goodwill. He coded. I handled the numbers. At night we worked until 2 a.m. Some months we barely paid rent. But slowly, compliance core grew. For customers became 11. 11 became 40. Then investors started calling. For the first time in our lives, we were winning. Together. The twins arrived in November. Liam and Sophie. 6 pounds each. Marcus cried holding them. Cora flew in the next morning.
Cooked. Cleaned.
Rocked babies at 3 a.m. Loved them completely. I mailed ultrasound photos to my parents. Returned. Birth announcements. Returned. Christmas cards. Returned. Then Paige sent a message through a mutual friend. Her kids don't have real grandparents. That's what she chose. I printed the screenshot. Filed it. Item 16. By then the binder had become proof of something painful. My family did not lose me. They abandoned me. Compliance core exploded in year 6. Magazine interviews. Partnerships. Corporate clients. New office. Real salaries. Real stability. Marcus made Forbes 40 under 40. The same week, Paige's husband's business collapsed. Rumors spread through Millfield fast.
Debt.
Loans. Mortgage problems. Then suddenly, after 9 years of silence, my mother emailed me. Subject line. We should talk.
No apology. No accountability.
Just. Family matters have become complicated. That was when I knew. They needed something. 2 weeks later, Diane Archer stood on my porch holding a suitcase and a folded list worth $925,000. Medical bills.
Debt.
Legal fees. Paige's financial disaster. She spoke for 20 straight minutes about sacrifice, family responsibility, shared history, everything except the truth. Finally, she stopped talking. Iris, she said carefully, family takes care of each other.
He sat here quietly.
Then walked to my office, opened the bottom drawer, and pulled out the navy blue binder. 29 items. 9 years. Every rejection documented. I placed it on the table between us. My mother frowned. What is this? I opened to item 1. Her ultimatum letter. Then item 2. Returned wedding photo. Then the birthday cards. The ignored voicemails. The screenshots. The cruel messages. The returned baby announcements. Every single receipt. Page after page after page. My mother's face slowly lost color. You kept all this? Yes. Why? Because someday someone needed to remember the truth. Silence filled the room. Then finally my father whispered, we made a mistake. 9 years. And that was all he had. A mistake. Not cruelty. Not abandonment. Not racism. Just a mistake. I looked at both of them calmly. Then said the words I had waited nearly a decade to say. You brought invoices. I brought receipts. And for the first time in my entire life, my mother had absolutely nothing to say.